Welcome, everyone. If you have not met me before, my name is Lindsay Miller, and I am on the partner team at Liquid Web. And I am joined today by Joe Howard, lead buff over at WP Buffs. He is a little bit obsessed with recurring revenue, and he and I have been friends for a while now. And I thought, I have to have you come and talk to the Liquid Web partner community and to anyone else who's wanting to learn more about recurring revenue and building a sustainable business. If you don't know about our partner program at Liquid Web, that's what we do. We're here to help agencies, freelancers, and entrepreneurs grow their business, whether it's through co-marketing materials, lead generation, or bringing in education opportunities like with Joe here. If you want more information about joining our partner community, you can email me at lmiller@liquidweb.com. And then without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Joe. If you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and put those into the chat there in your GoToWebinar dashboard, and we will address all of those at the end. So thank you, Joe, for being with us today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. We've been hanging out at WordCamps, for the last two years, a year or so. So it's nice to finally be able to do some webinar action. We'll have to have you on a WP Buffs webinar at some point too.
I would love that. Yeah, thank you.
For sure, yeah. But it's good to be here. We're big fans of Liquid Web. I'll talk a little bit more about Liquid Web through my talk today. But yeah, I'm well acquainted and know you guys do some great work. So I'm just pumped to be able to one, join y'all on this great webinar, and two, be partners with such a great company like yours.
Thanks, Joe.
You are very welcome. Cool. Well, it is 2:02 right now. Should we go ahead and get started?
Yeah, let's get started. We have a lot of people who have already joined us, so let's make good use of their time.
All right, let's do it. All right, everyone should be able to see my slides. I think, Lindsay, you're kind of emceeing this. So if anybody has any issues, if you can't hear me or if you can't see the slides in front of you, just throw it into the chat channel and we'll just make sure everything's working okay. But I believe everything's working okay. So I'm gonna keep rolling through, assuming nothing's wrong unless someone tells me. So cool. So I'm Joe Howard. I run a company called WP Buffs. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. If you want to check out the website, wpbuffs.com, we also run WPMRR, stands for WordPress Monthly Recurring Revenue. So like Lindsay said, I'm pretty focused on monthly recurring revenue and using WordPress to do a little bit better in that area. So you can feel free to check those two resources out. Today, I'm going to be talking about building a self-sustaining business by leading with recurring revenue. So where I really wanted to start today was with my own story, kind of falling into monthly recurring revenue. I started off in the WordPress space like a lot of other people, probably like a lot of people in this webinar now listening, building websites. I started really as a digital marketer. I was kind of the first employee in at a couple digital marketing startups. I was hired as kind of director of operations, which sounds really cool, but it ended up being just kind of like I would do a little bit of everything. I learned kind of my WordPress chops there, and then kind of moved on to do some freelance work. And I found freelancing extremely challenging. I thought that, and it wasn't even really the WordPress side of things. I was pretty good at building websites and kind of working my way through my small mistakes and putting sites together. But I had a really hard time scaling that. I found that I would be building websites and have a really good month one month. I'd have maybe 2 clients paying me for 2 different websites. I put them together. Oh, great month. And then the next month, be like, oh crap, like I guess I have to do more sales. I have to look for new clients. I also have to chase up on that old invoice. I felt like I was wearing so many hats. This is not the first time people on this webinar have probably heard this, right? This is kind of always the challenge of running a small business, especially by yourself when you're building websites. And so freelancing didn't work super well for me. There have been a lot of people in the WordPress space that have proven that this can scale. So I'm not at all here to tell you that you can't build websites in a scalable way and make a career out of that. A lot of people have, and there are a lot of great companies in the WordPress space that have done just that. But I have found a way that worked better for me. So that's what I want to talk about a little bit. And I'll talk about that my transition right now, going kind of from freelancer to business owner. I found that I was struggling a lot with freelancing and building websites. I decided to kind of move in another direction and try to find a way to, instead of focusing more on one-time costs or one-time revenue or income, I really wanted to focus more on how can I find a model where people can kind of pay me on an ongoing basis, maybe more of kind of a monthly revenue source instead of people that would pay, $5,000 for a website. Maybe they'll pay me, a couple $100 every month for something else. So I was looking for what is that something else, and I ended up doing a little research online and kind of found a few other companies that were doing this ongoing maintenance work for people. And I thought that was really smart. There are so many people that run WordPress websites that need websites built. That must mean there are a ton of people who run WordPress that are already currently struggling with it. And so maybe there's room for something else. And so that's actually how I came into the kind of maintenance space or the ongoing support space. I saw a lot of other companies or a few other companies doing it at that point, and I thought, okay, so I don't really have to do as much market research here. It's been done for me. Other companies are kind of look like they're being successful here. Maybe I can do it too. And so yeah, that's how WP Buffs started. WP Buffs does 24/7 WordPress support for clients, direct clients, as well as some white label agency and freelancer partners. So yeah, and part of the point of me wanting to give this webinar today is to kind of tell that story and also give a little bit of what advice I can on how other agencies and freelancers can do that themselves instead of focusing on one-time projects, maybe having a good month one month and then a tough month the next. Focusing on monthly revenue so that every month you're making a little bit more revenue every month. You take that after 6 months, 8 months, 20 months, you really ramp that up and then you have really predictable revenue coming in. And that makes it much easier to run a business. So yeah, that's a little bit about my story, moving from freelancer to business owner and kind of why I guess we're here today. I'm gonna be taking some sips of tea during this, so I'm just pausing everyone. It's okay.
It's a lot of talking to do, so please pause when you need to.
Yeah, I got to keep well lubricated here. All right, so here we go. Simple slide, but what I found that worked really well for me was moving from just being a services company. So as services, if anybody here is an agency, they do, marketing or they do design, that's a service you provide for someone. So you call yourself a services company. I found a lot more success moving from services company to a productized services company. And so I'll talk a little bit more about what a productized service is, but in essence, it really is, it's taking a service that you already offer and packaging it in a way so that you can really highly systemize it. And what this allows you to do is allows you to do it over and over and over again in a very similar manner each time, which really cuts your cost of actually executing that. You're not doing custom solutions for, you don't have 10 different clients. You're not doing custom solutions for 10 different clients. You're offering the same, it should be pretty much the same thing for those 10 clients, which allows you to make the same revenue from all those 10 clients, but not have to do all the same work to give them all a custom solution. And I'll go through some examples here of exactly how that works, but just think about what would your service look like if you were to put it into a package or put it into a plan instead of, presenting an original proposal for someone? What if you offered the very similar proposal to all your clients? What would that look like? All right, so we move from finding success with a productized service. Why would I choose a productized service though? I didn't really answer that question. I said, it's good, you should do it. I found success with it, but it doesn't really give you a reason why you should do it. These are some of the reasons that I've found that were big reasons, maybe that I found out after I started, that actually ended up making sense for me. Maybe some of which I kind of knew before, but definitely along the way I've discovered that a lot of this ends up being true. So low barrier to entry. If you're an agency or a freelancer offering services already, the barrier to entry to move from a service to a productized service is actually going to be pretty small for you. Even if you're just starting out, it's not like we're developing software here. If you were a pure like software company, then it's going to be more challenging to put a lot of that software together. But a productized service is just a service you put into a package or a plan. So that low barrier entry just means it's pretty easy to get started. Short runway to profitability. Again, a lot of times what I talked about already, you really want to highly systemize this process. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit further down in a few more slides. But if you can really systemize something, to measure the profitability is actually pretty simple. You know, you take how much someone's paying you for this plan or this package, and then you really calculate how much it costs to deliver whatever package you create. And to do that in a way that is profitable, it's actually much easier than people think. I think people kind of miss that a little bit. So it's a short runway to profitability just means you can actually, I'm not saying it doesn't take work to get to profitability, but it's going to be much faster and easier than if you were doing a pure software company. Proven path to scalability. This scales up really well. WP Buffs, we offer these ongoing care plans for people. We're doing 24/7 support for them, but it's offered in this care plan or this package for them. And we now manage, hundreds of websites, and it's scaled really nicely because we offer very similar services to each client that we work with. You get paid even on your days off. This is a nice one. The great thing about monthly recurring revenue is when someone signs up for whatever productized service you're offering, what you're going to do is you're going to just make a little checkbox that says, or just a little notice that says, this is a monthly payment. You will continue to make this payment until you elect to stop. And it's not like you make it hard for people to stop. They can stop when they want to, but it makes it easier for you on the account management side because their credit card gets charged every month until they decide they don't want to use it anymore. And so you'll find that, I did a 5-day trip earlier this year, and the business is not completely dependent on me. The revenue comes in even when I'm traveling or even when I'm taking time off. And so, yeah, that's really nice. The asset grows in value over time. This just means what you're building. It's because of this bullet point above, kind of proven path to scalability and short runway to profitability, the whole asset really grows in value as you continue to scale it. So you just have to keep watching your profitability, just like any business, and watching your numbers carefully, which again, I'll talk about even a little bit more about that in the webinar. But yeah, it's easy to scale that as well. These last two are kind of wrapped together a little bit. You focus your time on growing your business, and your business runs itself, so you can focus on the big picture. Again, somewhat similar, but to me, this is maybe the biggest advantage of running a productized service. I never really felt like when I was freelancing or building websites that I had time to take a step back and look at the business from 30,000 feet and really think, where is this business going in a year? Like, what are the big challenges I have in front of me that I need to tackle? When do I need to put my phone in airplane mode and just like work for 4 hours on, and what issue is that I'm working on that's going to have the biggest impact for me? I never felt like I had time to do that because I always felt like my hair was on fire. Hair on fire. I don't have as much hair to be on fire, but you get what I'm saying. But now that I've kind of switched more to focusing on monthly revenue, I've really found that I have a lot of time to do this, and it's one of the biggest changes I've ever seen in my business and for myself. I feel like I run a much healthier business. I feel like I'm able to solve problems way better because I'm able to actually do deep work and dive into big topics and not have to spend all day, every day, focusing on 100 different things, which has been enormously helpful. So just in the general sense of running a healthy business, if you feel like things are hectic all the time or you're always putting out fires, my advice is always to kind of take a step back and really think about like your business model and is it really working for you or are you working for it? I always felt that with care plans and ongoing support or just with productized services, it makes it, again, like I said before, it's more scalable, it's easier to grow, it's easier to manage, and that means you can focus on the right things.
I love you touching base on this, Joe, because one thing that I've been talking to a lot of people at WordCamps, really, because that's where I've been spending a lot of my time in the last year,
Yeah.
is the agencies or even the freelancers who are still just making a website and then they're done with the client and they're not doing any of those. And it just shocks me that more people aren't taking advantage of this model that you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think there's room for people to do the building of the websites and the ongoing support, but if you're just building the website and not doing the ongoing support, you're leaving so much money on the table. Imagine someone's paying you like, $5,000 for a website. That's great. It's like I made $5,000. Maybe I'm spending, $2,500 building it, and so I got $2,500 of profit. That's maybe that's good for your average freelancer, and maybe that's a fine amount for people listening here. But imagine if you then also charged $2,000 or $200 a month, in recurring revenue for managing that site. A lot of people know that WordPress is difficult. That's why they're hiring you to build the website. They also, if they don't want to build a website, they probably don't want to do all the updates or work with security or website speed or a lot of this stuff. So you're really leaving money on the table if you're just saying, go ahead, like you're good now. Why not have them pay you to do this thing that's going to add a lot of value to your business? So Lindsay, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to talk about this company called ManyPixels. My friend Robin runs this company. I've been following ManyPixels for a little while now. It's actually kind of somewhat funnily in parallel to WP Buffs. I feel like we've been kind of at similar stages coming up. So it's been fun to watch Robin do his thing. This company, ManyPixels, is a design company. They do design for, I think, freelancers, but definitely a lot of agency clients, people who need regular design work. For any non-designers here in the webinar, you probably know how hard it is to find like a freelance designer who can be working with you all the time on an ongoing basis, who's not going to flake on you. Like, that's a hard thing to find. So that's what they're trying to solve. And Robin went about it in a productized service, or with a productized service focus. You can see the homepage here: unlimited design for a flat monthly price. That keeps things really easy. We do not use ManyPixels right now, but I actually, at some point when we start doing more, when we start actually focusing more on design, which we probably should have been doing already, but when we really start focusing, this sounds like a great solution for me. I mean, I'm definitely into it. I want to touch on the pricing page too. I talked about a little bit already about how productized services have a nice, an easier road to profitability. In a lot of productized services, you can see right on their pricing page how they calculate it actually. So when I'm looking at this starter plan, $400 a month, the way that Robin is keeping his costs and keeping his profitability, or knowing that he is going to remain in a profitable position in this productized service, is that you can see that first bolded piece, the one order at a time, and that second bolded piece, 24 to 48 hour turnaround. He knows how much it costs for his team to put together a single design. So he knows how many hours it takes. So he knows the hourly rate at which he's paying. So he knows in general how much it costs to bill a single piece of content. If you have 24 to 48 hour turnarounds, maybe that's 15 to 30 pieces a month or so. So he kind of knows in general what that is going to cost him if someone maximizes what they're offering. So I guarantee Robin has definitely done the math, and it's not difficult math, it's back of the napkin math, about how much the maximum cost could be, and what that looks like for his profitability. So you can really take what your productized services, put some guardrails on it, and then say, okay, here's how much it's going to cost to work with a client, and here's how much that client's going to pay me. Multiply that by 100 clients, and there's your profitability. So yeah, I think that ManyPixels is a really good example for a productized service that I've seen that really is kind of, it seems to have nailed the model of what it is to do this. All right, so this is somewhat WordPress-centric webinar. So I am going to talk a little bit about if you're planning to do care plans, some of the resources that, maybe some of my best practices that I think can really help people help people to move from just being a freelancer or doing one-time work to really pushing on monthly revenue, adding care plans to your offerings, and moving into a space where you can predict your revenue much more easily. And honestly, like, run a much more comfortable and stress-free business. To me, that's one of the big pieces. It's like, I don't stress that much about my business anymore. Of course, I still stress about it, but it's less stress than I did when I was doing one-time work. If you're not stressing about your business, you probably should be stressing a little bit, or you're probably not moving fast enough. But anyway, I digress. WPBuffs.com/SaaS-tools. It's on the blog. You can go search for it. But we have all the SaaS tools that we use for our business. A lot of people read that, and a lot of people are into that article. So I always share it. If you want to know all the tools we use to do this website management, you can go ahead and check that article out if you want. So the first thing I always say is never reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel. Do some competitor research to see what other people out there are doing. I think that there are a lot of innovative ways to do ongoing support and maintenance, which I'll talk about a little bit more down in the slide. But when you're starting off, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. You can start by offering care plans that are similar to what other people are offering. Use that to learn what your clients need. Everybody's working with different clients. Some people are working with more small mom and pop shops. Some people are working with more SMEs, or maybe small to medium-sized businesses. Maybe some people listening are in the enterprise space, and instead of charging, $200 a month that we charge for small businesses that we work with, maybe you're charging $2,000 a month. I don't know, it looks different for everybody, but do some competitor research, see what other people out there are doing in the space, and see what's going to work for you. It's pretty easy to put together a pretty comprehensive ongoing support plan for people that includes everything you want. If you find 10 people that do ongoing support, most likely you're going to find about 90% of the best practices to implement there. Partner with other WP companies. Let them do the heavy lifting. There are other companies out there in the WordPress space who have built businesses around helping agencies and freelancers to manage websites at scale on an ongoing basis. You do not have to build software to do this. You do not have to pull a million tools together to do, each one does a single thing. There are comprehensive tools to do this. Managed WP and Main WP are two that I know about. Again, you can check out SaaS tools to see what we use, but definitely before you get started, take a look online, see what's out there in terms of management solutions. There are a few other WordPress companies as well that can really kind of give you an all-in-one solution for this, and it allows you to, again, kind of keep your costs low and implement a lot of this ongoing maintenance and support without necessarily building out a lot of infrastructure to do it. And that's where things get expensive. So you can keep your costs pretty low and charge your clients what's right and what makes sense for you. Always be optimizing your funnel. This one's more marketing and sales related, but this is in general kind of what our funnel looks like. Everyone's funnel is going to be different. Everyone's going to do sales and marketing in a different way. I actually kind of struggle a little bit with recommending how to sell and market care plans and giving advice on that because it is so different for everyone. There's a million ways to go about it. Like, there's a lot of ways to market and sell anything. It's kind of like you want to rely on your strengths, but in terms of the funnel, I always think about when you're managing websites, whenever you're working with someone on digital stuff and they're handing over the keys, their login information, their admin username and password, that's a really big thing to do for them. Like, they're giving over control of their website to you. So every time someone signs up for one of our care plans, I'm kind of like amazed, like, wow, they like really trust us to like not screw up their site. Like, that's pretty incredible. And so I think it's rare that someone's going to come right onto your website and then just like buy your care plan. Like, I don't think that usually happens. I think it requires a lot more trust building than that. And that's what we found by trying to sell directly right when people come to the website. Hasn't really worked for us. So we do things differently. So this is our funnel. We get a new website visitor. Usually they'll become an email subscriber. We do webinars over at WP Buffs as well. We have a bunch of free ebooks and case studies that we give away. So people become email subscribers. They go through our very segmented and targeted emails, and then if they choose to do so, they can always book a call with us. We have a call kind of like this. This is a webinar, but we do a nice little Zoom video call. It's very nice. And then people get a follow-up email. They sign up, they go through onboarding, and then they receive this ongoing service. So I think that when I started WP Buffs, I had a very, very, very rough idea of what this was going to look like, and kind of put it together as I had got my first customer. I think I actually sold my first care plan and then had to decide like how I was going to do it. So I don't know if I'd advise doing it that way, but I think that I put a good amount of idea or a good amount of thought into how you want your funnel to look like, and be prepared to have some things work and have some things not work, and continue to experiment and find what works for you and then double down on that. Giving advice on this stuff is hard because the best way to move forward is to this lean methodology. It's like you want to try something, you want to think about how something's gonna work, you want to try it, you want to gain some data on it, you want to do some testing, you see what works, and then you just try it again, and you try to get a little better every time. So that's how I think about a lot of this funnel and how to like sell and market your care plans. Kaylin is on our team. She's probably listening right now, and she's probably like nodding her head like, yes, Joe is too obsessed about every single piece of this funnel, but that's how you do it. Okay, cool. And some important questions to think about before you start implementing things. I kind of already mentioned some of these things may change. Like you may decide to go one route and then say, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to go another route. That's fine. You just have to make sure that you decide and then go for it. And if it doesn't work, then you change. But if it does, that's great. But one thing I would recommend thinking about before you get started, for sure before you get started, is do you want to be a 24/7 partner for people? This has a lot of implications. There's nothing wrong with being a shop that provides 9-to-5 support. I want to make sure that's clear. I'm not at all diminishing that. For a lot of people, it's like, I don't really want to work weekends, or I don't want to work overnight. I don't think anybody wants to be like working overnight, you know what I mean? But to set up an ecosystem where that's possible is a challenge. And so starting maybe not in 24/7 support could be a good idea. That means you'll probably have to hire people who are local to you, or like in a similar time zone-ish. We started with 24/7 support, which we've actually found has been a huge differentiator for us. People love 24/7 support. We started learning a lot of people like 24/7, so we started like putting it everywhere in our sales process, and it's really worked well. People like the fact that we have someone on the desk 24 hours a day, monitoring, helping with edits, etc. But if you decide you're going to do 24/7, that requires you to now hire internationally. From wherever you are, you're going to have find people who can help you and be on your team from a lot of different areas. So that could change you from being a local company to being a remote company. You'll most likely have to be remote unless people are listening like GoDaddy, who have like offices and like all these places. Like probably people listening don't have these big offices in all these places, but maybe you do. Maybe you can do that. But most likely you'll probably have to work a remote team. And that's very different than running a little office with a few people in the same office. So that's just definitely something to think about. This webinar isn't totally about like, I can't go on tangents about remote work. I would love to, but I'm not going to. I'm happy to talk with other people about that at a later point, but that's a big decision to make.
Okay, so quick question. On the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week deal, are people just like to know that, or do they also take advantage of that a lot? Like, do you still find that it just like gives them a sense of security, and yet they're really talking to you at noon? Or do people constantly come into your support channels?
So we have constant ticket traffic 7 days a week. It helps in the sales process, that's for sure. People like to know that they're getting a 24/7 partner. They like seeing our team page and seeing where all the different countries all our people are on our team are from. But in terms of actually taking advantage of it, yes, people love to take advantage of the 24/7 support, especially those 2 days of the weekend. that is for sure a big challenge. And thank you for asking that question, Lindsay. It's the weekend is a big challenge, even for us. It's like a lot of people don't want to work weekends. That's a fact. So it's hard to find the people dedicated to the weekend time, and to find a way that works at scale, especially. We've tried a few different things. I don't know if I have a great answer for it, but I think making sure that when you're hiring people, if you're hiring someone for a weekend slot, making sure that you're very open and explicit that, like, this is a weekend position. In fact, nobody should even apply to this position if they're not interested in weekends. So it should say in the job description, wherever you put it, like, this is a weekend maintenance support technician role. That's important. This is actually not something we've tried yet, but it's actually something I'm thinking about. Oh, you webinar attendees, you get the first scoop
Right?
with this. I have not
You
really
heard
shared
it
this
here
with anybody.
first, folks.
Yeah, but we are thinking about doing, everybody at WP Buffs is like full-time employee now, but I'm thinking about offering additional kind of hourly rate for the weekends. So if people want to make extra money, they can hop in on weekends to solve tickets. They get an additional hourly rate to their full-time salary, but it kind of gives them an incentive to jump in on weekends and do a little bit extra. You know, hey, I've got a few hours here. Why not make a few extra bucks? I don't know how it's going to work, so I can't advise it yet. But hey, I think it's an interesting idea, so I think we're going to try it in the next little while. So I may have some employees listening. So surprise.
Well, maybe. But no, I think you're also living out what you talked about earlier too, which is testing things out, seeing if they work, and then making adjustments, and not being afraid to make adjustments. So you're living what you say. So that's a good example.
Yeah, I for sure am living and breathing that. If I make a mistake, I'm happy to admit I made a mistake. I like to see data and see how I made the mistake and what really caused the mistake. But I mean, we course correct all the time. We make small mistakes all the time. We're figuring things out as much as someone who's just starting with care plans. So yeah, another piece of advice is don't think you're going to get to this point where you're like, whew, I did it. Like, this is easy now. You know, it continues, and as you grow, it scales well, but it doesn't scale flawlessly. It doesn't scale without new challenges approaching. So keep that mentality of being hungry and always wanting to fix the little things and continue to optimize, because the optimization is never over. Cool, let me run through a few of these down here. Will you be reselling hosting or partnering with hosting companies, like, for example, Liquid Web? You have an option as you're doing these care plans to include hosting as part of that. I know a lot of companies that do that. They'll kind of do this like a reselling of hosting and say, we'll host it for you. They kind of add a fee on top of that for the management fee, so that, you know, they hop into the dashboard if something's going wrong, something like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with either of these. I think that depending on what you want to do, you should try it out. The one thing I will say is that we used to do reselling of hosting and include it in our care plans. We have found, and Lindsay may be able to confirm this, that hosting, it gets more profitable as you scale. So if you have, if you're paying for $20 a month hosting and you're doubling that to $40 a month hosting and selling it for $40, if you have 10 clients on that, that's $200 a month. That's a little bit of money, but it's not really substantial. You kind of have to scale into like the thousands of websites before that really starts to like become a revenue center. It's definitely a profit center. So we actually found it was much better for us to partner with hosting companies. This way, when we work with another company, we can allow them to do what's best that they do, right? They're the hosting company. They know how to host. We know hosting, but like we're not like the pure experts behind the infrastructure that they've created, that hosting company has created. So if I'm working with Liquid Web, I'm going to say, and we do this, we have Liquid Web on our preferred hosting page. We say, if you want WooCommerce hosting, like go over to Liquid Web. They do the best work there. People sign up. So we send some business to Liquid Web. Liquid Web is like, oh, WP Buffs, you guys are awesome. Thanks for sending us some business. Like, we'll send you some business as well. And so when they have clients that need a little bit more ongoing support, WP Buffs is an option for them. We're not the best fit for everyone, right? Some people need a freelancer, that's cool. But some people want just like a team to watch your site 24/7. We're a good fit for that. So when they have some customers like that, they send them over to us. So to us, it was actually better to find more partner relationships there. But not saying that that means reselling the hosting is wrong. That can work too. It does make your client base more sticky, because hosting is a sticky thing. It's hard to, no one wants to do the migration. No one wants to move to a new server. No one wants to move 10 sites to a new server. No one wants to move 500 sites. So it does make it sticky. So there are advantages to both. Yeah.
And I'm going to chime in on you too, Joe,
Yes,
because
please.
that's one of the things we say about our managed WordPress platform is, especially for freelancers, agencies, entrepreneurs that are out there, we take a lot of that heavy lifting off of them. So like we do backups every night, and you can therefore charge your clients for backups every night, but you pay that through our platform. That also goes with iThemes security and reporting and uptime, downtime monitoring, and a lot of those things that you can then pass that cost onto them as part of your care plan, when in actuality it's included in your hosting the whole time, but you can white label those services in a way that allows you to make more money. So yes, you get up to like 300 sites on Liquid Web, and it's $3.50 a site. So it starts out at $10 a site, but still you should be charging at least $99 for a care plan, for a basic care plan. And that's paying for all of your hosting for your 10 sites that, you know, on our thing. So that there's my differentiator for you.
Very good point. I was mentioning some tools you can use. There are hosting companies that are maybe not entirely geared, but have these options for people who are looking to do what I do and looking to maybe do what you're doing. People who are attending this webinar, like Liquid Web is definitely a good option for that, because they include a lot of the stuff that people want in the ongoing support. But they also don't want to do things like proactive website edits. But a lot of people just need, like, they don't need a freelancer to do an hour of work a month. They need someone to do like 5 hours of work a month or 10 hours of work a month. And Liquid Web's a hosting company, so they can give you all the software you need to do all the other maintenance, and then you can do, you know, some of the more services-based work as part of your productized service, and that's a great combination. So yes, Liquid Web is a great option for that as well. How are you going to differentiate yourself from other maintenance companies? This is the last one I'll touch on, and I'll do it quickly, but there are a lot of maintenance companies at this point. When I started WP Buffs, there were a pretty good amount, and now there are a ton. And so you want to find ways to differentiate yourself, even if it's small ways. 24/7, do you want to do 24/7 or not? To me, 24/7 support is a big differentiator. So I usually advise people to lean that way, but it's, again, everyone has their choice. Premium plugins, you can partner with people for premium plugins. iThemes Security Pro is one who we partner with, so we're able to offer that to clients as well. And so I'm sure Lindsay would be happy to talk more about that as well. Who are your target customers? That's a big one that actually a lot of people forget. They think like care plans are care plans, people buy my care plans, that's it. There are a lot of different size businesses. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but are you working with really small mom and pop shops? Are you charging $100 a month? Are you working with maybe some small businesses like we do? Like our top tier plan, I think is like $447 a month. So for small, medium-sized businesses. Or are you working more like large businesses and enterprise? Are you really like doing big time management? Are you going to need more robust services for that? Are you charging $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month? It's important to know where you're going to be, because that's going to dictate how your sales process works. It's also going to dictate your marketing and who you want to target with your marketing. If you target small businesses with marketing and write content for small businesses, but you're trying to sell to enterprise, you're going to get you still may get traffic, but that traffic's not going to convert. So you want to think about that to make sure that funnel I talked about earlier makes sense. White label. Are you going to offer a white label option? WP Buffs offers a white label option. So we do white label support for agencies and freelancers, but other agencies and freelancers can do it too. So that's a nice way to get, instead of working with just individuals on their care plans, $200 for a care plan. Nice. What if another agency wants to work with you and they give you 10 sites? 10 times 200 is more than 1 times 200. I know, I'm a mathlete over here. I'm pretty good, but yeah, just thought. And then you have one point of contact. You have one person who's paying you, or one relationship to manage. Although if you're doing support for that person through white label, you're doing more support, but white label, an option. Gutenberg. This is something that still a lot of people are not taking advantage of, and definitely not a lot of maintenance companies are doing like Gutenberg specific stuff. They're falling behind a little bit. I'll say we're falling behind a little bit because even we're not doing as much as we probably should be. So if you can be really focused on Gutenberg, there are a lot of agencies and people focusing on Gutenberg who are seeing a lot of success. And I think there's definitely still time to like get on this Gutenberg train, honestly, like early. Like I still think like there's just so much that has not caught up with Gutenberg yet. If you can get in it now, you're gonna be in a really good position in 6 months or a year, because you'll be known more as like, we can do Gutenberg work, and that's really important. All right. How much time do we have, Lindsay? Are we supposed to like have a certain time limit or something, or?
Yeah, I try to keep it under 45 minutes, but we're going and everyone's still really engaged and has some questions. So you just get through your content.
Okay, I'm gonna run a little faster, but I'll be answering some questions at the end. So if people have questions, remember to put it in the comment box and or remember them, write them down. You got Post-it notes. You got it.
And I'll keep my questions to myself until the end.
Okay, cool. All right, so I like to talk about mistakes I've made in the past. I did a 2018 review, which was my second. I did a 2017 one too, but the 2018 one's better, so don't read the 2017 one. It has a lot of my mistakes in there, and I go into more detail, so you're more than welcome to read that. Okay, so hiring is a big place that, if I'm being honest, we're still figuring out. But one big mistake I made towards the beginning was hiring people with the good technical skills, who are also good culture fits. And a lot of people are thinking like, yeah, like those are the two things you're looking for. Like, can they do the work and are they going to be a good fit for your company? But I forgot to think about, are these people who are really systemized thinkers? Can you really not only follow the systems we have in place and really just nail them efficiently, but also think critically about those systems and how to improve them? What's wrong with the systems? I create systems that I think are pretty good, but I only have one brain, and it's not that great of one. Like, if I can get 5 people to put together a better idea, that's going to be a much better idea. So I think in early days, I didn't do enough of hiring people of that quality. I already talked about productized services. Systems are extremely important, and you need to bring people on who are really also obsessed with those systems. And so that's just something to really keep in mind when you're hiring, or even if it's just like a freelancer is doing 10 hours of work a week for you, or 5 hours of work a week. They have to be really systemized thinkers, and really be able to follow and make the systems better, maybe with your help. Price service is too low. Man, I started off, when we started WP Buffs, I was really going like, I just learned about productized service, and I was thinking like, okay, this is like SaaS pricing, like it's SaaS-based pricing. All the SaaS companies do these free trials. So I'm gonna do this 30-day free trial. You get 30 days of free support when you sign up, and then you pay after 30 days. Definitely don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. This was a very bad decision, and a lot of people would come and get free support and then leave. We were definitely just targeting the wrong kinds of customers, people who were not ready for what we needed. We scaled that back to a 7-day free trial to see if that would be better. It wasn't. We made people pay before they got started, but still we were priced too low. So I talked about the free trial. That's not really about pricing. That just didn't work. Then we started making people pay for the first month, but we were still underpriced. You want to price yourself at a point that's competitive with the market, but do not race to the bottom. Add more value, charge more. You will be happier with your quality of customer. You will be happier with your churn rate. Yeah, price higher competitively. I delegated poorly. I didn't give people enough documentation or systems to work within. I talked about people you want to hire people who are good systems people. You need to give them the systems to work within and improve. That's kind of your job as a founder or a leader in your business. You want to give people a good opportunity to do that. So keep people on a leash is just like a thing I have in my head that's like, you want to be, when you hire someone, you don't just like let them go and do stuff. You check in with them every day. You check their work. You really stay close on them, correct all the small mistakes, so that in a month when you're like, all right, they're ready, like maybe I'll check in with you once a week now, you can trust that they are doing the right thing. So keep people on a leash more strictly earlier. It's not a form of disrespect, it's a form of respect, actually. Spend too much time working on things that didn't matter. I I don't know. I guess that's all I'll say about that because I want to finish my slides. But focus on high impact work. Don't focus on the little emails. Don't wake up and check your phone first thing. Check your emails. Doesn't matter. Stuff doesn't matter. Work on the things that are going to move your business forward. I avoided having difficult conversations. I've had to fire a few people, and I didn't have the difficult conversations early enough or frequently enough. I think I'm a little bit more of a hard ass now. Even within the past like 3 months or so, I think I've become a little bit more. But I actually think it's a positive. I think I was being actually kind of too nice before and not holding people accountable. And now the team has responded really well to it. So again, I think it's actually a form of respect. Excuse me. It's a form of respect to have the difficult conversations. And if you're a leader of a business, no one else is going to do it. This is your responsibility. So, all right, last slide-ish. I'm going to run through this super quick. How many more slides do I have? I've got a few slides, but I'm going to run through this one super quick. If you want a podcast episode about all of this data, Christy and I just did an awesome episode that talks about, it's like an hour and 10 minutes. Goes through all of these really in depth. So if you maybe want to, I'll stay on this slide for just a second. Take a screenshot of it. I don't know if I'm releasing these slides after. I guess I can. If people want the slides, like email me. I'll email them back to you. But
and everyone's going to get a recording of the video as well. So
you're getting a recording. Yes. These are the most important metrics. I'm not going to go through them because I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but monthly recurring revenue, average revenue per customer, user churn, revenue churn, lifetime value. This one I will touch on. What really matters, you can look at all these metrics. You want to track them all. You want to see what they're doing. But if you have a good monthly recurring revenue, the growth rate of that, if that's growing at 5 or 10% a month, and you have low churn, people aren't leaving, and you have solid profit margins, like you're looking at how much you made this month, how much revenue you bring in, how much did it cost you in total this month, like you're probably doing pretty well. Like if you have like $10,000 in profit every month, and you have 5% growth every month, and you have low churn rate, like you're running a great business. Maybe it's not perfect, but you're more successful than a lot of people. So just to keep in mind, like what determines success doesn't have to be everything. That's one thing you can think about. Metrics don't matter that much when you're starting out. People don't really say this, but I think it's very true. These metrics don't matter. In the early days, you should be worrying about selling care plans and marketing and how does this work? How am I putting my plans together? Don't worry about your churn rate. When you have 5 people on care plans and 2 people leave, that's a 40% churn rate. Obviously horrible, but like it's not statistically significant because you're at too few people. So wait until you have more people to start measuring these. I don't have like a number, but definitely double digits and definitely like well into the double digits. I don't know. Once you have like 25 or 30 or 35 customers, this data becomes more actionable. So I'd wait till you get there to like really dive into these. I don't really know what I was talking about with this slide, but I think that this is just a continuation of the previous slide. This is stuff I track pretty religiously. Data doesn't tell the whole story, but to me, I studied math in school, so I'm a big math nerd. Ask my wife, like I drag her to all these science talks and stuff. She's like, why did I marry this guy? But this is stuff I focus big time on, and it really helps me to put a really good, get a really good picture and sense of how healthy my business is. And so, yeah, you can ask my team. They're like, can Joe stop talking about these metrics already? Like, enough with the metrics. I'm like, oh, well, another call. We're doing leadership stuff. Cool. Cool. Last slide. Is the last slide? Yes, last slide. Okay. Brian Castle is someone who I follow in the productized space very closely. If you have learned anything about productized service or you've dived into it a little bit, Brian's an enormous resource in the space and one of the leaders in the space. He runs like multiple productized services and is like highly successful with all this stuff. I got to meet him at MicroConf last year and the year before, and it was like meeting like a little celebrity for me. I was like, Brian, oh my God, so cool. But productized course and community, he runs a whole course and community around productizing a service. The link's right up at the top of this page, productizedcourse.com. I would highly recommend checking it out. It is worth the investment. If you have an agency that's even slightly profitable right now, use that profit and reinvest it in your own education. Buy the course, be part of the community. In a year, you will thank yourself because you'll be running a much more successful business, a much less stressful business, and you will say, that was a tiny investment for all the gains I've had. And I don't say that a lot. I think there are a lot of A lot is not super valuable. This, in my opinion, is very valuable. So a nice quote from him: stop taking on any projects just to keep the lights on. Start focusing what you do and who you do it for. Then streamline, systemize, and automate it to run itself so you're free to focus on the bigger picture. I could not have summed it up any better, so I will let Brian do that for me. All right, I am finished. Quickly, just to finish off and polish off this webinar, Joseph H. Howard on Twitter. You can find me. Feel free to tweet, oh, wow, this webinar was so good. Oh my God, Joe, you're amazing. Oh, Lindsay, you and Liquid Web are so cool. I wouldn't hate it. Joe at WPBuffs.com. Every time I do a webinar like this, I actually ask people to email me. If anybody wants to set up like a 15-minute call, just email me. I like to talk with people without any prerogative, just to help you to do this for yourself. I talked a lot about broad strokes in this, but I'm sure a lot of people have questions like, how do I do this for my business? I'm in this position, how do I do this? Webinar is hard to get into those specifics, but shoot me an email. We'll set up a 15-minute call. I'm happy to do that with anybody. WPBuffs.com if you're interested in white label WordPress support for your clients. We do help do that. We are a white label company, so I'm happy to talk about that as well. WPMRR, we actually we open sourced everything we do at WP Buffs and turned it into a course. So if people are looking to just do this themselves, but they're looking for a course on literally how to implement care plans in your business, that's what WPMRR is. And along with that, we have a podcast, which is very, very focused on monthly recurring revenue. So if you're just like not ready for that stuff, you just want like a free podcast, check that out. We really have a lot of fun with it. And that's Christy down below. She runs a podcast with me. She is also a Liquid Webber. So she is the product owner at Liquid Web's managed WooCommerce hosting. So if you're managing WooCommerce sites or you're working with WooCommerce sites and you're not working with Liquid Web, what are you doing? You got to work with Liquid Web. They're the best. They really are one of the premier companies doing this in this space. I've not seen anything quite so unique and quite like their WooCommerce hosting option. I've talked with Chris Lemma a little bit, who, if you're in the WordPress space, you know Chris, but whoa, like very impressive piece of the Liquid Web business as well. So just as a business person, I'm impressed just with what it's done and how fast it's grown and all the things you can do with it. So definitely check out the WooCommerce offering by Liquid Web.
Thank you, Joe. Hey, we have some questions I want to get to. So yes. We'll try to move through them as quickly as we can, because I promised everyone we would spend some time answering them.
For sure. And if people are interested in Q&A, feel free to head out. I know I went a little bit over time, but if you want to hear some Q&A, we'll be here for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone who is leaving, thank you so much for joining us. But we have about 10 questions here I think a lot of people can gain some knowledge from. So first, we're going to start off easy. So when you do your 24/7 support, do you focus on online chat, or do you also try to do phone support for your purposes? Good question.
For that question, are they anonymous?
Let's see who asked that. I didn't write down their name, but I can look at it.
You person who asked that, that's a very good question. Live chat support, email support, phone support. Those are kind of your three main options. We stick mostly to email support. Probably 90% of our support is email support. We have a highly systemized way of doing email support. It to me is the easiest way to scale support, which is why we do it. Live chat, it requires having someone on live chat to do live chat support. Also, you have to have someone technical on live chat support if you're actually going to do live chat support right in live chat. So that's another challenge. And then you have to if you're saying you have 24/7 support, but you only have 24/7 email support, well, live chat, are you 24/7 live chat or not? So these are questions you have to ask yourself. We don't do live chat support. We have people hop into live chat who are like, hey, I submitted this ticket like an hour ago. Are you guys taking care of it? And we're like, you just submitted it an hour ago. Like, did you receive the automated reply? Like, yes, we're working on it. But we do have people come in live chat and talk about things. And sometimes I like being in live chat, actually. So if you hop into our live chat, I may be there. Yeah, we do a little bit of support via live chat, but mostly it's just to like send, if something's urgent, we say hop in live chat just to give you another channel to, like, if something's really going wrong or something's messed up or you really need someone, we're happy to chat.
What platform do you use for that?
Oh yeah, I'll talk about all my platforms. So Desk, we use Teamwork Desk. We use a whole Teamwork suite. So Teamwork Projects for onboarding and just project work, and then Teamwork Desk for desk software. We use HubSpot for live chat. So HubSpot is our entire sales CRM, and they have a live chat widget that goes in and pumps right into HubSpot. So that's super easy. We actually just implemented a new robo buff yesterday. So if people go on WP Buffs, you can see our new robo buff. We're experimenting with it. We don't know if it's going to like annoy people or people are going to like it, but feel free to check it out. What was the last thing I was going to say? Phone support. This is the crux, I think, of the question, because phone support's hard and expensive, but a lot of people like it. We do no phone support, but people can schedule a call with Dean, who's our head of customer success, if they want to talk about something, or especially if they're a white label partner, they have full access to Dean. But we don't do any like direct phone support, like, hey, this is broken on my website, can you fix it? The reason is because, like I said already, it's expensive and it's very time intensive, and to run phone support it's expensive. It's really expensive. So we don't do it for that reason. The second reason we don't do it is because we want to target the kind of customer who wants to do email support and wants to do live chat support. If people want phone support, if you're kind of like a newer business owner, you might say, oh, they want phone support, like I should do phone support. But we don't do phone support for that exact reason. We actually try to like vet people before. So if you want phone support, we're just actually not a good option for you. But there are a lot of other people that do phone support. They'll probably be a better fit for you. We want to keep things lean. We want to keep things, our costs down. So we want to work with clients and target clients in sales and marketing that want live chat and email. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so okay, I'm going to keep moving through these. We had several questions about finding a security partner and how you chose to like, use who you do, which you use iThemes Security. We also do at Liquid Web, use iThemes Security. And then there was also other questions along the same vein that I want to include. Where is it at? Like, how do you clean that up? And is that also something that you charge for? Like if somebody comes in, they don't have a great security plugin, how did you choose yours? And then how do you charge for helping other people get up to speed?
Yeah, good question. Let me clarify the second question. Are you talking about like if someone comes to you with like a hacked site or a site that has malware, do we handle that?
Yeah, and Yogesh came in too and was like, also like, how do you convince clients that don't want a care plan that they need one? And part of those reasons, right, is because they have a hacked site or a messed up site or things that aren't updated.
Yeah. Okay. There's three questions there. Let me see if I can remember them all and answer them all.
I know.
Okay. The first is, how do you choose a security partner? There are a few different factors that are important. We like iThemes. Obviously, we're going to have a slight little like, yeah, iThemes is great here in this webinar since we're doing a Liquid Web webinar and Liquid Web owns iThemes. But if I'm being honest, the difference between there are some significant differences between the three major players, which in my opinion are iThemes, WordFence, and Sucuri. They all kind of have different things that they're going to be that they're best at. To me, you're not going to go terribly wrong with any of them. One big thing I would look at for people is pricing. So like, what does this pricing look like now? And what does this pricing look like once you get to 100 sites managed? That's going to have a big impact. Sometimes a site's going to want to do like a per site basis and they won't give you a big bulk rate. That may be dangerous once you go from 10 to 100 to 200 sites. You may be stuck and you may have to switch, or it may just be a pain in your butt. It may be a cost center. So just something to think about is pricing. You're going to have to remind me of the other questions.
Yeah, okay. So Mark said, do you have clients that come in with really horrible and unsecure sites? And what method do you use to secure them?
Yes. That's a very good question. Please, Mark, email me so that I can hook you up with Nick. Nick is our COO, which is not even enough of a title for him because he's also kind of our CTO. He'll have a much better answer for you than I will, and we'll be able to get into more of the technical aspects of things. I believe the last question you asked, Lindsay, was how do you convince people who have a hacked website that they need ongoing support and that you should let?
Yeah, so Yogesh kind of chimed in a couple of times. So trying to convince clients that they need a care plan, but also finding out that like they have a really bad website, right? So you want to take them under management, but then like, how do you handle that after the fact?
Yeah, this is a good question. And it's, if I'm being honest, it's one that I still struggle with. It's not something we've like like we don't have the answer to this. I don't know if anybody does, but I think a lot of what we do is education. A lot of what we do is we write a lot of content. We try to get people to understand that if their website's powering their business, they have to power their website, like in essence, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, hey, there you go. It's a process, and a lot of people are not going to get it. And it's not because they're bad people or because they hate your company. They're just like not at that stage yet to understand, right? Okay, as a business owner, a lot of agencies or freelancers, like, you know what it's like to like hear something like 7 times and not get it, and then on the 8th time, for some magical reason, you're like, oh yeah, like I should do that, like I should implement that in my business. But like the 7 times before, you weren't thinking about it. It's not because you were like an a-hole or anything. It's just because like you weren't ready for that information yet. You were still like building other things out, and then as soon as you're ready to like hire, oh, now hiring is important, so I need to like focus on hiring, right? Maybe some people heard hiring and they're ready to hire, and they're like, that was great for me. Some people are like, hiring, like I'm not really at that point yet, so they're kind of glossing over that, and that's fine. It's the same with customers. It's the same with clients. Some people are going to be ready, some people are not. Honestly, the best advice I can give for that is target people with marketing and sales who are ready, and keep experimenting with that, because it's much easier to have someone who's already convinced they need the 24/7 support and sell them on a package than to educate and then sell. So focus your marketing on that. The security thing, quickly. Some people just want their site fixed and they're just not interested in the proactive support. We tell people that that's not going to be helpful for the future, but not everyone listens. A lot of people don't listen to us, and that's fine. Again, maybe they're just not at that place yet. I like to think when people have gotten hacked, they like get it, but like, hey, it's not always the case. We refer a lot of people over to places like Malcare. They pretty much specialize in direct cleanup of websites. If people don't want the 24/7 support, we do it too. We can do it as well. But if people just want that, like, I'm not going to stop them. It's not my job to run their business or to run their website. It's just my job to educate them and to give them the best possible opportunity to make a good decision. And that's all I can do. So that's how I try to think about it.
So one of my guesses that most people who are listening aren't really trying to just have a maintenance company. They're probably building websites for people, and they're trying to figure out how to add these services on as part of their own like robust business practice. So for those people, I have 2 points. One is add a site audit onto your services. I am part of this thing called Press Tribes, done by Corey Ashton, and they talked about this a great deal last week. So do a site audit at the very beginning, and that also has a charge that's associated with it. So they understand what's wrong with their site and what it takes for you to fix it. And then secondarily, on these care plans, and this is specifically for Yogesh, but I'm guessing there are other people that want to know this as well. A lot of people who I speak to that are freelancing or agency owners, they make it a part of the contract from the very beginning. If you want me, Lindsay Miller, to build your site for you, we've already had this meeting, then as you're sitting down to sign this contract, you have to choose one of these 3 care plans. And here's why, and you have all of your reasons: sustainability of your website and speed and performance and security and yada, yada, yada. But they have to choose one of those from the very beginning. An agency owner who I learned that from took her business from $8,000 a month to over $30,000 a month just by doing that. Yeah, and it really exponentially increases your profits. And so, and honestly, if that client doesn't want to pay that $99 a month or whatever your base plan is, then they may not be the best client for you anyway. And so it might just not be a good fit. And so you find the people that do that, and then you're adding them for every website build you have as another recurring revenue stream.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. If you're, again, WPMRR is a video course around all this. We actually have a whole section about how to create proposals if you're doing website builds and want to do monthly revenue focus, on how to implement that as part of your proposals for people. So I am with that 100%. I actually am a believer that I think monthly revenue is more valuable than one-time revenue given the same cost. So if you're talking about someone paying you $1,000 and someone paying you $100 a month for 10 months, it ends up being the same amount of money. In my opinion, the $100 a month for 10 months is actually much more valuable, because if you do a good job, they're going to stay with you longer than 10 months. So I actually tell people in proposals, give people 3 tiers if you're building websites. The highest tier is $10,000. You're going to pay X amount for your ongoing support. The next tier down, you also offer you offer a slightly lower price for the website, but you offer kind of a higher price for the ongoing support, and maybe a third tier, whatever you want to do. But that allows people to kind of say, okay, like I guess I'll pay 70% upfront than I would have paid. If you're paying $7,000 for the website to have a higher monthly payment, that's okay for me because I know that the monthly revenue is more valuable for me. So yeah, I think that's a very, very good point, and I would definitely urge people to, as part of signing off on the website build, they should be signing off on ongoing support, at least for usually I say a year, and then you can reassess. You may want to change your pricing at some point too, so it's actually probably not a good idea to lock people in for more than a year. Up to people.
There you go. Well, you answered Adnan's question, who was asking if it's better for subscription or hourly pay. And then also Martin Lindsay said that's exactly what they do. They design and develop websites, and then it's basically for business revenue generation. So Martin's already on board. Okay, I have 3 more questions.
Yes, let's do it.
And I know we're way over time, but that's okay. As long as everybody is still getting value out of this, then I'll sit here as long as it takes.
I haven't seen a lot of people leave, so it's actually cool. Let me say one quick thing about the monthly revenue versus hourly. I totally agree with that. I think that if you're doing hourly work, that includes doing the hourly work. It includes tracking all your time. It includes invoicing the client. It includes communication with the client. It includes following up on that invoice you sent and doing all this account management stuff. Monthly subscriptions, just like you keep their cards on file, they get charged every month. There's no account management. We do a lot of account management now that we've scaled it to again, hundreds of websites, but the amount of time we would spend if all this work was hourly would crush us. So I'm a big fan of doing subscription over hourly, especially in cases like care plans, because it's just, you remove that cost center and it's gonna really help you be more profitable. So
yeah. Okay. So several people really appreciated your insight on the remote work, and I've already made a note to email you later so we can do another webinar just based on that.
Yeah, we should. I was going to say, I could talk about that all day.
I know. So they wanted to say thank you, but okay, if you have number one tip, this is from Vera, on managing an international team, what would that be?
One tip.
Yep.
Whew. Vera, you said Vera, you're putting me on the spot here. One single tip. I think that it's important to me. I think there are some people that don't want to work with us. It's because we have a remote team. And it's not just because of the remote team. Some people look at our team page and they see Toyin living in Nigeria. And they're like, I don't know if I want to work with a team with someone in aren't there scams in Nigeria? Which I understand that concept, right? I'm not saying that person, in some cases that person's right. But to me, the diversity of our team is an enormous strength and not at all a disadvantage. I think that bringing in people from a diverse group of backgrounds, from different places, from different cultures, men, women. This is going to be what's going to could be a differentiator for you, like I was talking about before. To us, I think it is, because we actually attract a lot of people who want to work with a diverse team, and that makes our client base, I don't know, in my opinion, more fun and people who we want to work with, because that's how we are. And for people who aren't interested in that, then there are other people who are going to want to work with them. So I think my one piece of advice is just don't shy away from diversity. Don't look at applications and look at a name and say I wonder where that person's from. That name's oh, it's kind of a weird name, or ooh, that person's from there. I don't know if that's going to work. I advise more of the shotgun approach when hiring. Try and talk with a lot of people. The application is rarely, in my experience, dictated exactly how someone's going to work out. I'll give Honey Lou on our team a shout out. She's from the Philippines. When I was looking at people, this was back 3 years ago, when I was just looking on Upwork for people, and I hired her, and her resume was not, in my opinion, one of the better or best resumes that I saw. But I was like, she seems really nice. I'm gonna try her out. And you obviously have to vet people, and you have to watch over people and see how they do, but she's now one of our best devs, and one of the most efficient, one of the just best people on the team as well. So you never know how people are going to work out. So try to keep your options open, and try not to just think about where people are from exactly. Try people from different places. It's going to add a lot of strength to your team.
That's an awesome answer. Okay, 2 more questions.
Yes.
So there's someone who's listening today who's still on with us, and they're starting a business and they have system admin knowledge and programming knowledge. So if they're trying to start this business, they want to know, what do you think, Joe? Should they partner with another WordPress company, or should they try to go out on a solo path if this is where they're coming from?
I don't know if I have enough information to answer the question. I think that I will try.
The answer is to leverage Liquid Web's hosting, and I'm just kidding.
I do think that there's enormous advantage to leveraging partners. That's one of the ways we got to where we are today. To find people, not necessarily even like co-founders or people who work on your company with, but other people in the space who you can lean on a little bit, can be everything. I don't think we ever would have gotten here without the support of the community behind us, and honestly, this personal support I got from a ton of people, who I was like, I'm trying this thing, and they're like, all right, like I'll support you, I guess, sounds cool, and kind of the rest ended up working out. I'm not sure if I'm like exactly answering the exact question you wanted, but I think that
it sounds like he needs to email you at joe@wpbuffs.com.
Please email me and give me a little more detail, and I'll be happy to get you even a little more and hop on a call even to talk about it. But I think a lot of if the question is more related to like, do I want to go out on my own, or do I want to like work within the kind of confines of a bigger company or a different company, I'd say that's kind of a personal preference. I mean, I think if going out on your own is what you want to do, I think that makes sense. That being said, I think a lot of people think like startups or like starting your own business, you have to have this totally innovative idea that no one's ever thought of before, or like you're just like a faker. Like, what do you? I think that's total BS.
Right.
Most of what we do, like we don't build software. We don't have any like patented like new software that we're using no one else has. We just like execute better than a lot of other companies out there. That's a lot of our secret sauce. We work a little bit harder, we do a little bit more, and we execute better. It's not like magic. And we partner with a lot of companies to help us do this management in terms of like software. So you can check out that software article on WP Buffs, like all the software we use. That does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So again, we're not like doing anything like waving a magic wand or anything, but we run a very successful business that works well for its employees. It supports 15 people at this point, and that's pretty awesome in my opinion. So I think that there's space to use others to leverage what you're doing for sure.
Okay, last question. I think this is a really good one too. So how do you deal with security when you're hiring people to work on client sites? So basically like handling WP admin logins, host logins, all of this, especially for people who are starting out and they're using freelancers instead of full-on employees. How do you handle that part?
So there's a lot you can do here actually. And we should actually write an article about it, or we should do a podcast.
That's a really good question.
This is really actually a very, very good question. How do you handle security as a remote team? So there's some companies out there that do like the most in a good way. There are a lot of like big enterprise agencies that like they'll send you their laptop. Like you don't go buy a laptop, you use their laptop, and they have their own security and everything's customized about that laptop. That's for like big enterprise people who have a lot of money that they can spend on sending people laptops. So if you're an enterprise company, you should probably do that. But for the 98% of other people who may be working on smaller stuff, there's a lot of different ways you can do it as well. So a few ways is definitely using password managers. For security purposes, that's always really important. That allows you to like see really at a high level and really easily, like who has what access, and grant someone a certain level of access that they are privy to. So that's for sure big. Everyone on our team we have a team VPN. Mine's on right now. It's called private internet access. It allows you to encrypt all your internet activity. So everybody on our team is required to use a VPN when working on anything WP Buffs. So that's 2 things. 3, two-factor authentication. Anything that has company data or client data especially, it's under two-factor authentication. You cannot log in without two-factor authentication. Most just have the Google Authenticator. So like on my phone's charging, but you open the app, you put in the 6 numbers, and it's pretty easy. Although it can get a little annoying sometimes. Not gonna lie, it's a little annoying sometimes to have to do two-factor authentication, but that's how you stay secure. One other piece of advice I guess I'd have is that when anybody starts working for WP Buffs, they sign a contract. This wouldn't probably stop someone from, if they were trying to come in maliciously and to I don't know, steal passwords or something, but it starts the process of making sure that everybody we hire, everybody on our team, understands how seriously we take security. Yeah. Everybody has to sign it before they get started with any client stuff. They sign their contract, they make sure it's not just about like how much we're paying people hourly. It's like, this is like a really big responsibility. A lot of times we go through contracts with people when they're signing it. We don't just hand it over and say, a lot of times we'll get on calls with people and say, let's go through this contract. We want to make sure that you understand every single little piece of it. And that's really important for us to set up. It definitely takes time and resources, but as soon as you have the time and resources, I think a lot of people think about like the resources they're gaining with their business as you're getting more profitable or you're gaining more revenue. Where do you spend that revenue? Well, you could spend it on like marketing and like moving forward stuff, right? Getting more sales. But a lot of what you have to start spending your money on is like defense. It's like, how do I make sure I don't lose what I already have? And that's a concept some people don't really understand, but it's very important to like defend your ground. And so, yeah, that's a big piece of just like in the process you should have. So yeah, I think that was like 4 things. Those are basic things. I'm sure I have a couple more. Or again, if you want maybe a more full list, you can email me and I can get with Nick because he's our head of operations. He really knows all that stuff. So he can give you maybe even a few more of the things we do.
No, I love it. Thank you, Joe. That was amazing. And I also want to just take a moment and thank everyone who attended today.
Yes.
You guys were so amazing and involved and participatory, and it really makes doing these webinars really fun for me whenever I get so much dialogue with all of you. So thank you guys so much for being here today and participating with us. Joe has all of his information up here on the screen, so if you want to reach out to him. If you have more questions about Liquid Web's partner program, other education opportunities that we do just like this with Joe and other people like Joe, or setting up a recurring revenue business, I'd be happy to speak with you as well. You can email me at lmiller@liquidweb.com. And if that's it, we'll send this recording out to you guys tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
Thanks, Joe. Bye.
See ya.